So I accidentally ended up in Orange County. I was like shocked when I moved over there. Like I couldn't believe how like rude people were, and like the racism was like in your face racism, and I was like, ah, shocked. We lived in Newport Beach, and my daughters went to a school that was predominantly white and middle to upper class. Really wealthy community, and so the kids of color there were treated like charity, and like even though you were grateful for these opportunities, they made sure that you knew it was charity.
Did you ever just react to that in a very aggressive way, or did you just kind of just accept it and go on about your day?
So I picked my battles. I guess it depended, but often I would just like try to deal with it as much as I could, knowing that they had a connection to my kids. So like I wanted to say something, but then I was like, how is that gonna impact my kids? And so I felt like a lot of pressure to get as overly involved as I could so I could have a voice in that space. And they would get to know me like on a different level. And yeah, I mean, I ended up developing like friendships with some of these people. But I constantly had to like put in a lot of time, like whether it was my daughter's like basketball team or like school involvement or the booster club, whatever it was, I had to like overly participate to be accepted.
Okay, so you mentioned your mentor spoke out against the gang injunctions up in Santa Barbara. So let's move on to that area. Was that the first injunction that you became aware of and that you got involved in?
So when I moved over here, I went to Long Beach because I wanted to do something to help youth. And my program was very heavy, like criminal justice, pro-criminal justice system. Like you have a choice, it's your choice that you make, and you're responsible for your decisions. And that really didn't like sit well with me. And so I felt like I don't want to perpetuate a system that is not the most supportive. And so how do I like make a difference in that? And that's when I decided to go to grad school. And so when I was in grad school, there was the immigration reform was going on in 2005. So that's how I became like more activated. And I met one of the Chicanos Unidos members like when I was at a parking lot, like when I was parking my car, and they gave me information, and I started like following them, and they started giving me sending me emails. So I kept like a connection with them, even though I wasn't like involved, but I was up to date, and I would go and support their events, and kind of was like a supporter. But I was learning a lot from them. So I was exposed to the first injunction through their work, through the Chicanos Unidos members, the work that they were doing on the Vasquez case, the Ovese case. And I was learning by like observing and seeing them, what they were doing. So in 2011, Santa Barbara, my hometown, gets hit with one of the largest injunctions in California. So like Santa Barbara, who hardly has any crime, wants to impose one of the largest injunctions. And so Babatunde was one of like one of the forefronts of fighting the injunction, and was very critical about the use of injunctions and how they were rooted in like an oppression and the targeting of people of color. And everybody, and the Santa Barbara was like, their response was like, oh no, that's not what it is. You're being, an extremist. We're just trying to help the kids.
What gang was it against? And why is it the largest? Is it because of the safety zone, or was it because of the number of people they were trying to serve?
So it was an injunction on both of the neighborhoods, the east side and the west side neighborhood. And it was one of the largest because of the safety zones. So the safety zones were like 75% of Santa Barbara. They were huge, and they included all of State Street and all of the beach. So people were not going to be allowed to go to those areas. So
the safety zone was clearly beyond the turf and territories of both east side and west side. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that must have had a lot of people scratching their head, like, what are they trying to accomplish here? And what was the reaction to that?
The reality, though, is that most people didn't even know this was happening. They didn't really know what injunctions were or like why it was happening. Or like was the logic behind it? Like, is our gang problem that bad? Is there something I should know?
Was there a specific event that may have happened that's not the norm that they were using to justify this is why we need this injunction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a stabbing that had occurred with a young man from one of the neighborhoods. I believe he was about 14 years old, and he had passed away. And that was the moment where they started then building this injunction. In Santa Barbara, if you understand gangs in Santa Barbara, they're not organized like some other areas might be. They're definitely more social based, and the crime rates are not high there. You kind of see like old school fighting, where people will like fight with their fist, maybe some stabbings, but no shootings.
Very rare.
Very rare.
In the neighboring Goleta, there's a few gangs. When you were growing up, did you ever hang out in Goleta or interact with the guys that lived over there?
Yeah, people interacted because they're right next to each other. So there's also gangs in Carpinteria, which is a really small town, south of Santa Barbara, and that one has its own gang. Santa Maria, and there's also Lompoc. And Lompoc does have a gang injunction. Overall, the Santa Barbara injunction was fought from 2011 to 2014. So it was like a 3-year fight of really intense organizing. And when we look at like what entails in fighting an injunction, it is like a long commitment with multiple strategies happening all at once. So like, how do we educate the community to know about this while at the same time like addressing some of the issues that are happening in the community, while at the same time make sure that we're connected to the people that are being most oppressed, while at the same time like challenging the media perception of the community. So it was like all, hands in everything, but we made sure that we were like strategic in everything that we were doing. And so we were the first city in the nation to beat an injunction at that level.
Thanks for watching StreetTV.net. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button below and click the bell to receive alerts and notifications. Feel free to comment below so you can give us your feedback, and be sure to watch the 2 related episodes to the right. If you want to support this platform or follow us on social media, visit the links in the description, and thanks for watching StreetTV.net.